Good evening, Nerdfighter area. Ifer here as always, and now I'm going to do the vlog I've been talking about. I decided I don't want to go with the script, however, because I want this to be from the heart. So, here it goes. Now, like normal, I start my videos off with good evening, Nerdfighter, but this time I'm going to talk to you, not as Ifer, but as Zach, as myself. As you can see, I'm sitting behind me is my flag. I just wanted to talk to you about something very serious. There's been a lot of debate about gun control. And I want to tell you my line in the sand. I don't believe that gun control can solve anything. See, the problem with gun control is it's taking firearms out of the hands of law-abiding citizens, but it will not stop criminals from using guns. The left-wing media, mainstream media, if you will, if you'll pardon the expression, wants you to believe that the gun is to blame for the actions of somebody who was on all sorts of psychotropic drugs and was trained to do this. The reason I say he was trained to do this, things like for instance, the tragedy at Sandy Hook. The reason I say he was trained to do what he did is because his mother taught him how to use these weapons. It is in no way the firearm that could be blamed for the actions of a mentally disturbed person. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, I need to correct some misconceptions about firearms. The AR-15, Bushmaster AR-15, that was used in the recent Sandy Hook tragedy, is not, by definition, an assault rifle. By definition, it is a semi-automatic rifle, no worse than one would use for hunting. It's not the quote-unquote death machine as some politicians will have you believe. In order for a gun to fire, there has to be someone pulling the trigger. And we should not punish law-abiding citizens for the actions of psychotics. If this psychotic was to use a knife to kill, or another psychotic was to use a knife to kill a lot of people, somehow, let's just hypothetically say he killed 6 or 7 people using a knife or some other blunt object or bladed object, you would blame him. But he used the gun, so you blame the gun and the gun industry. That's not how, unfortunately, that's not how these things work. He used a tool meant for shooting to shoot people. And unfortunately, his victims were little children. And I am not taking anything away from this tragedy. I think it is I know it is one of the worst tragedies in American history, if not the worst. The fact that some crazy person was able to take the lives and felt necessary to take the lives of 20 young children, babies practically, infuriates me. But he was trained by his nutso mother to do so. He was taught how to use these weapons. And yes, I know this is conjecture, but this is my belief. This is why I believe it happened. But anyway, I'm moving past that and I want to talk about another topic. People believe that banning what they call high-capacity magazines will help. That could not be further from the truth. It is just as easy for somebody who knows what they're doing to load 3 10-round magazines or less, or more than 3 to 10-round magazines, or less than that, 6 rounds, what have you, and do the same amount of damage. And once again, Adam Lanza, I believe was his last name, was trained to use that weapon. Somebody untrained can do the same exact thing. Changing a magazine isn't a hard thing to do. Of course, somebody untrained would probably would have been stopped. Also, if there were guards, armed guards, or the staff was guarded, then they probably, or armed, I should say, they probably could have stopped him. That's besides the point. I'm sorry, I went off on a little bit of a tangent. This gets me really emotional. It frustrates me. Banning, quote, high-capacity magazines will not do anything. Criminals will still get 30, 60, whatever, 100-round magazines or drum magazines. And then we, the law-abiding citizens, will not have access to enough ammunition to defend ourselves if some criminal were to come into our house with a weapon that has a 100-round magazine, and we have a weapon that has a 10-round magazine but only 7 bullets in it. That's completely flipping it on the law-abiding citizen. Who do you think is going to win? The person with more rounds or the person with less rounds? Now, I'm not saying that everybody should have a gun. If you don't want to have a gun, that's up to you. I'm saying that we have the right to have a gun, to defend ourselves. And that brings me to my next point. Anti-gunners always go to, you don't need an assault weapon for sport and hunting. The Second Amendment has nothing to do with hunting or sport shooting. The Second Amendment has to do with defense from tyranny. And to say that, well, we're not in a tyrannical government at this point in time, so what do you need it for? It's for if we ever are. Or maybe, as the world seems to be going, when we are. The way things are going, that's what seems to be happening in my opinion, but that's a whole other discussion. The Second Amendment is so we can defend ourselves against the government, the militia. The militia meaning the military. When they're ordered to attack us by the United States government, by a tyrannical government. That is the point of the Second Amendment. Another argument is that the Founding Fathers could not have foreseen things like AR-15s, 100-round magazines, and drum magazines, and things of that nature. Well, personally, I believe that's simply not true. because the technology, gun technology, and technology in general was increasing by leaps and bounds when they were, well, alive in their lifetimes. So I don't think that they couldn't see anything past a musket, because they were seeing things past muskets. So that's my line in the sand. When I have more time, I will delve deeper into this. Until then, I'll see you next time.